It is 9:45 on Friday the 9th, and I think it's been like a month since we've recorded an episode. Craig, you said it seems a little bit longer,
No, I
but
said it
it's
didn't
been a
seem
while.
like that long, but I could be wrong. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, we did. You're right. It's not been quite that long. We did the two episodes for the Ignite conference, and then we released the episode with Kazim from Africa to kick off our African virtual tour, and then life just got crazy.
Yeah, well, spring break hit for me and for you because I believe you went to Disney World. I don't know why I think that, but
I think you went to that place that I know you went to.
that
Yes.
you went to the Akuna Matata place that you're wearing the shirt for. So,
Yes.
and,
Not
and
on
I went to
purpose.
Microsoft. So, um,
Yeah, it's been spring break. You've been busy. We were just talking about the fact that I've been doing training at work that's been taking up 30% of my time, 3 days for the last week and 3 days for next week. And of course, that's on top of the normal busyness, which is on top of being out of town for a week. So you can imagine I've got a week's worth of emails I haven't even looked at this point, but it's been busy, man. And I don't even have much to talk about when it comes to teams right now. How about you?
I have very little. So what I did notice, so I don't think this is a secret, but in our team's tenant for Microsoft, the work one, I did webinars showed up there. So we're in that
Oh,
cycle that I can do webinars. So I'm looking. I looked
nice.
at it. Looks like it'll be cool. Um,
Nice.
you can create your own custom invitation just to send to people and have them link to it, and you can add questions that you might want them to fill out. So a little form in there that will be cool.
Yep.
So that is one of the exciting things that I think people are been waiting for. So to be able to try that out. I was talking to, so we did the M365 Chicago in November. I was talking to Michael Blumenthal, one of the co-organizers of that, and he said, I think he was saying that meeting breakout rooms had showed up in his tenant.
Oh, great.
Um, I am not 100%. Yeah, so I think he said that was in his tenant in Aon. So that's starting to make its way out. I could be wrong. He could have been talking about the community tenant that we did the M365, but
Right.
somewhere in one of the early rings, it's making its way out of.
That is
Um,
exciting. Yeah.
I have been doing very little in Teams lately. I did a governance workshop. So there's some pretty cool stuff with sensitivity labels, data loss prevention, and e-discovery starting to be announced, and
Right.
more controls over that. So that would be cool. But I was telling you what I've been doing is I've mentioned a couple times workplace analytics, and
Hmm.
that's being rolled into, or part of that is surfaced through Viva Insights. So we expect to have more information about that when that comes out. But I've been busy talking to customers about that because we don't have a whole lot of people who are customer engineers in my role that have availability to talk to clients and have any kind of background in it.
Yeah.
Um, and it is that, and I was trying to tell my team today to, we had our team meeting. I was suggesting people start getting into that because that's actually fun stuff. You think it might be analytic, very analytic, like, oh, I need to take and slice my data, and that's part of it. But a lot of that data isn't hard to slice. Like if you start looking at meetings people are having and that you've got 70 people, you've got a list of meetings and how many attendees are in each meeting, right? And you've got 70 of them in one meeting, and it goes for an hour, and for some reason there's going like 120 emails being sent out of that meeting, right? It's not a lot of data that you have to crush to say maybe we should look at this meeting and see if we need 70 people there, or can it be a half-hour meeting, or
Shall
why.
we be more efficient?
Yeah, so it's awesome conversations that you can start having and stories you can start putting together. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, but it just gives you places to look at. And I was talking to one of my customers, and he was slicing and dicing, like just dropping it into pivot tables and stuff, and looking at it like, okay, let's not pick. He was picking the meetings that had the most emails being sent and dividing that by the number of participants. And then he was ranking them, because if they're sending out emails, they're not really paying attention is what the thought is. So let's find out the meetings that are more distractive,
Right.
versus, they can have a lot of people, but if there's like one of the board meetings was a really expensive meeting, but nobody was sending emails on. So he's like, that's actually a good thing. But then there was like another one where it was like 20 people were in this meeting, but 150 emails were sent out during that meeting. And it's, well, why?
That does not sound like people were very attentive to their meeting.
Yeah, but there was, he's like, there could be an outlier, because there is an admin who usually goes to that meeting who doesn't need to be in that meeting. It's just she schedules it, and she goes there and takes notes. So she could be sending like a lot of emails out during the course of the thing. So
sure.
But that's something that we would want to look into. And then there was something else that he found fascinating. I can't remember what it is. It had something to do with just the cost of the meeting, because you can look at, so workplace analytics by default gives everybody $75 an hour. It says everybody's making $75
Sure.
an hour.
Yeah. Can
So
you set custom rates?
What?
Can you customize your rates?
Yeah, you can custom up, but if the customer decides not to load rates, and the one customer I was talking to actually loaded up $70 an hour for everybody, so they wanted to come down a little bit. But you can locate the rates. But yeah, if you've got like a $13,000 meeting happening, it doesn't take very long and to go, like, we need to talk to this. And the other thing he was interested in was that there was two divisions or two departments that nobody was having one-on-ones. So one meeting them and their manager, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, we should probably have a talk with these people. And there could be a reason for that. They might be senior people. It could be they've been there a long time. They don't need a whole lot of coaching and guidance, but that's really where you're looking to see the coaching and guidance.
I mean, it sounds like workplace analytics is a good canary. Yeah, canary in the coal mine scenario, where it's not going to give you all of your answers, but it's going to be able to pinpoint some potentially low-hanging fruit that you could go after to try and understand, where are we bleeding? Where are we not being supportive enough? Where are we not engaging correctly? And as long as you don't use it as gospel, it sounds like a really easy way to start looking into some of that stuff.
It is, and that's exactly how we pitch it. And we also pitch it doing things like your employee surveys and satisfaction surveys and those kind of things, and seeing if what your employees are telling you are true. Like, the common thing is everybody says I'm in meetings all the time, right? I don't get things done. And if I have the data that says, hey, you know what, this group is meeting 35, they're in collaborative work 35 hours out of the week and 5 hours after hour times, and that holds true,
Yep.
And then that's where you probably want to look at making some changes in how you're doing things. Or if it's, hey, these people aren't really doing any collaboration over here. I don't know why they're talking. They just feel like they have a bunch of meetings, but they don't. So there's a bunch of different dashboards and stuff. Like I said, it makes for some really cool conversations, really fun conversations, as opposed to some of the other ones that you have, which are good, but how do we get employee adoption? How do we stop people from, the one conversations I never really like being a technologist is, we always have, here's this great thing that our employees can do to collaborate. Well, let's turn that off, right?
Right.
So, all the time.
I mean, look, I get it. You want to make sure that it's secure and that it has the right capability. I don't get it when it's I don't like Giphies. Well, why not? Like, really? Like, what is it about GIFs or Giphies or GIFs or whatever you want to call it? What is it about them that makes you think your employees are going to be less productive? That kind of stuff drives me nuts. Like, why are you turning that off? But otherwise, like, I understand wanting to know what there is and know how it affects your group, and being able to just control the rollout rather than it just suddenly appearing on a Thursday. But
yeah, I mean, those conversations. So conversely, let's compare it to a conversation I had earlier in the week where I was just walking somebody on how to do a OneDrive migration.
Mm-hmm.
It's necessary work. It is
right.
it's semi-interesting work, but it's not the same type of thing. It's, you do this setting, and this is how I would approach it.
Yep.
But definitely not the same.
Yeah. Speaking of migrations, the import API has become, I mean, it rolled out a handful of months ago, but it's actually stabilized and become more available for teams. So it's really good for like Slack to teams or tenant to tenant restructuring. Really cool stuff with that. Interesting. This is much more technical than I normally get into, but interesting fact about it is it's a one-time thing. It is not like I'm gonna do an iterative migration and bring my people in. Like if you use the import API, it has to go into an empty team. So you can't use it twice in the same slot once you turn it on. You can do an iteration over time, but once you turn it on live, no more. So really cool stuff there. And then, I mean, it's been really newsless the last couple of weeks.
Well, they were doing the Sharepoint birthday, so the Sharepoint
that was going to be the last thing I had. Yeah, was the Sharepoint turned 20 last weekend, I think, on the 2nd.
Yeah, so I was on Saturday.
And I of course
attended the birthday party. I don't know if you did. But
did you?
I did not.
Oh, I wanted to.
I heard it was a virtual reality thing.
They had a virtual reality entrance, but you could also attend normally. I wanted to attend, but it was the Saturday before, so it was 2 weeks ago, I think. It was the Saturday before we left for Disney, and no, that wasn't happening. We had too much to do around the house to get us out the door. But SharePoint's 20. That's crazy. Like that means you and I have been working for a long time, my friend.
Well, I haven't been in it for all 20 years, so since 2007, I think is when I started playing.
Yep. And it was still young when you joined. Like, let's be clear.
Still on 2003, but it was 2007 when I started using it, I think.
Yep.
Because one of the first projects that I worked on was a migration from 2003 to 2007. And then cleaning all that kind of stuff up. And then not too far after that, well, it didn't seem that long, was then migrations from 2007 to 2010.
And then we got in the seemingly never-ending cycle of migrating either 3 or 6 years at a time.
Yeah, 2007 to 2013.
So suffice it to say, this is not our typical episode.
No, it's just our random free-flowing thoughts. Oh, I was going to say Dataverse and some stuff like that has been some more interesting news. I've seen a lot of customers are starting to use it, starting to play with it. And then I've seen some rumblings that it's, not Dataverse, Power BI, some licensing,
changes to the license model.
Per user licensing instead of like a per company licensing. So some licensing changes on that to make it more friendly. You customer friendly type licensing. Yep. So you don't need to do that. And then some stuff coming in with like Power Apps for Teams and the Dataverse and being able to do some cross team things with that. So as opposed to when it first rolled out was, hey, I could create a Power App using Dataverse in my team, but it had to live in that team. So some things around being able to export it out and easily share that app, more easily share apps that you're creating in Power Apps across the Teams platform.
Lots of ramblings, yes.
Yes. So just there.
Yeah. Even on the government
Friday, we're tired. I've already had a beer or two.
A beer or two.
Just one or two. If you ever get to Wisconsin, Moon Man by the New Glarus Brewing Company, they also make Spotted Cow, but they don't sell outside of Wisconsin. So it's actually a really good beer, but they don't sell outside of Wisconsin.
I'm just amused by this conversation because you're not in Wisconsin. So
I know, but my parents are in Wisconsin, and we went up to there the weekend before Easter. So was the first time I had saw my parents, and first time I had saw my parents since the summer. My dad had some health issues; I had to go up there, but my wife and kids hadn't seen him for over a year. So
things are starting to, I guess, normalize, right?
Yeah. So they had their vaccines. Me and my wife had gotten our first shot, so we
All right.
didn't stop anywhere. We just drove, and we stopped once to go to the bathroom, so we didn't talk to anybody.
Now I'm judging you. You went from not stopping anywhere to stopping once. So the guy that just went to Disney World and back is judging you thoroughly.
Yes, you should be. So
So we teased the Africa series a couple weeks back with Kazim. It was actually a really good interview about the work he's doing. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't. We have 2 more interviews that we're lining up right now. There's a little delay, partially because of my travel and spring break and such. But so we got those 2 more interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about. Craig, you and I have been teasing the concept of a workplace analytics episode for a while. We should probably knock that out.
yeah, I was thinking that too, since I basically gave the description of it, but I can pull up the dashboards and show you what we could actually do with it. Some of the dashboards and the Power BI templates that we provide with it, and then there's the CSV files that you can just get the raw data to.
So maybe next week we'll release a workplace analytics episode. I don't know. We've got a few things in the hopper. We just haven't gotten them moving, but hopefully doing this little recording and making absolute fools of ourselves this evening will entice us to get it going.
This is what happens when you stay up till 4 a.m. writing Power Apps to try to. So the Power App I was doing was a little bit different than the typical one that you would normally do, which is just like an approval workflow or something out of SharePoint. This I had to use a runbook in Azure and actually call PowerShell to link into. One I was assigning licenses, so a provisioning workflow, and the other one I was doing was getting information out of Exchange Online because there's no direct connection to that. So it was actually pretty cool, but it took me a little bit of time to figure it out. And of course, I had a week to do it, but when did I decide to do it? Was
the day before it was due, I assume. So, some things never change, do they?
They do not. It's like I was in college all over again.
So we've got a handful of stuff coming up. There's some really good conferences coming up. I've got Shift Happens in 2 weeks. It's an AvePoint industry conference on digital transformation. It's not our product. It's all about digital transformation. Lots of fun. I've got a presentation there. We've got Teams Nation coming up. The Office 365 Gov community, the Microsoft 365 Gov community call has a panel that Craig is going to join us on. So I'm very excited to have you join us there. And then there's a couple other things coming up that I can't think of off the top of my head. But
I have one where I'm doing application lifecycle management, ALM, for Power Apps with Ralph Rivas at the end of this month. And I can't think the Microsoft 365 Virtual Marathon is April 27th. We're doing that one.
Good call. I've got 2 sessions at that conference. Oh my gosh, that's only 2 weeks away. I got work to do. I've got modern information architecture for M365. And what is this? Demystifying Microsoft 365 for end users. That got accepted. That's very exciting. I think that's the one with me and Dan Usher. Fantastic. So we got a couple of things I got to write, apparently.
Yeah, and then at the end of July, we are in Chicago, hopefully in person, doing the fun of a modern SharePoint migration together.
Yeah, yep. And then in August, if we're going way out, I'll be in Branson, Missouri at NACS. Joy Apple and I have a full day workshop that we're very excited to be bringing to NACS. So
I applied for there, but I have not heard on anything for that.
Well, that got awkward.
If you want to go sort of out, then we have the SharePoint Fest DC, whenever that is.
I think we're losing even my attention span.
September. That's September. There we go.
Yes. Yeah. I think August was a stretch. September is just too far. Either way, Craig, it's good to get on a video with you again. Hopefully next week we can get the next 2 interviews lined up, as well as maybe knock out that workplace analytics. And
sounds
if
good.
you are still listening to this, you must really like the sound of one of our voices. I don't know.
It's not mine. It's you. It's they're tandem.
Oh man. All right, Craig. Well, listen, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Have a pleasant day. Something like that. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Just hit stop. Just stop the recording.